Iceland, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jeannie and you are in the best place if you're planning a trip to Iceland, because every week I give out a new YouTube video and I just want you to have the best information for your trip. But today we're gonna do a little bit different stuff because I have my good friend Carly here.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, happy to do it.
I recently put up a question box on my Instagram stories and you guys had so many responses of things that you wanted to know about living in Iceland. And Carly and I have both been living in Iceland for many years. So we have the best information for you on that.
Best.
But I got so many responses that we're gonna have to do 2 videos.
No problem.
So today we are going to be talking all about just really living in Iceland, and then come back if you're interested for the next video, the follow-up, which we're going to talk all about like the healthcare system and
childcare, giving birth, healthcare, taxes, you know, the
Yeah.
real nitty-gritty.
the nitty-gritty, the stuff we have recent experience with. So that'll be really fun. But today we have our tea here and we are just gonna chill and chat. So let's get into it.
All right.
The first thing we need to talk about is you can't live in Iceland without knowing or learning some Icelandic. So some people want to know what it's like to learn, if we have to take classes and things like that.
I would not describe myself as somebody who was a language person, so it was very challenging. Continues to be a big challenge to learn the language, and I do think that it requires active effort to do so. I've taken many levels of Icelandic at different places, the university, at different language schools, and it is something that you have to keep up. Mm-hmm. I think it's also something that you just really have to kind of drop the ego and go out there and try it, which is very difficult for me as a teacher myself. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so not feeling strong in the grammar can be really difficult. However, if you learn the phrase, what I kind of did was I learned the phrase, "I'm learning Icelandic, would you be willing to speak with me?" They love it.
Oh, good one.
Yeah.
You are so much better at this than me too, because there's just times when I get frustrated and I don't want to keep trying. But it's so difficult. It's the real thing. I mean, Icelanders know English well, so that's not the issue. The issue is that you feel like you want to integrate yourself into society that way.
Absolutely.
It's out of respect, but also just like part of living here. But it's so hard because we're living in a place where Icelandic is such a hard language.
Yes, absolutely. And I also don't think that in many American schools, languages are taught all that well. So I feel like that part of my brain is not as sharp as it needs to be. And so it's very challenging to feel like this student again and feel so inadequate. But with that being said, it is a really great way to learn to meet people and, keeps you sharp. I recently passed my citizenship exam, which was a language test. Woo-hoo.
That's amazing.
It was very exciting. Don't test me on it, but it was a big achievement.
Yeah, that is really, really amazing. So after a certain amount of years, language test. But I took a lot of classes when we moved here.
Yeah.
And I haven't been doing my diligence since then, but I do practice it at my job, which helps, the more you can practice it, the better. But man, it's just a constant struggle, I would say.
I agree.
The second, kind of overarching topic that people asked a lot about was kind of how Icelanders feel about Americans, or how Icelanders feel about foreigners, specifically how hard it is to make friends with locals, kind of things like that. So what's your experience?
Obviously, I think it depends on who you ask and the personality of who you're asking and who you're talking to, but I do feel that in general, it's up to me to establish that. I haven't found that Icelanders will always go out of their way to necessarily welcome me, and I don't think that they necessarily need to. I think it's really pushed me to be more outgoing and more hardworking at making friends and putting myself out there. It's, I grew up in the same city that I went to college in, so I'm born and raised in Los Angeles and lived in this little bubble. So moving here, it really kind of reminded me of what you need to do to make friends. I think when you do put yourself out there, you'll find yourself pleasantly surprised, and especially when you find people that have things in common with you. And so going out of your way to find groups that, whether it's a book club or a sporting activity, the glacier hikes and people, whatever you're into, there are Icelanders and fellow expats into it as well.
Yeah. Also, I want to note that I think that this is different depending on your partner situation. You have an Icelandic partner.
I have, yes, my partner is Icelandic and American.
Yeah.
So I am lucky that he does have Icelandic friends here that I have known for many, many years, and their spouses and things like that as well. So I'm definitely lucky with that. I think it also depends on what you do for work. I am lucky that I teach at an international school, but it is housed within an Icelandic school as well. So I get this nice little mix of expats, internationals, and as well as many, many Icelanders as well.
Yeah. I would say the norm for people, as a foreigner living in Iceland, the norm is to be married to an Icelander,
Yes.
Right? And so that definitely plays into your social circle and who you're exposed to, and at least all of my friends that have Icelandic, they have family here. So that's already kind of an integration that way. And yeah, coworkers like you were saying. But what I wanted to maybe talk about is how do I say this? Their attitude towards foreigners. I mean,
I think obviously you cannot speak for every Icelander. I cannot speak for every Icelander. I think it depends on the situation that you're meeting someone in, hence why I said to focus on finding people with similar interests and things like that. Because in general, I think many Icelanders have their niche, their little nook, their pod, and so many of them have grown up with these same friends since leikskóli, which is equivalent to preschool in America. So it's sometimes hard to wedge into these groups, and hats off when you do.
Yeah, no, seriously. That's real, and you're being very gentle and delicate around that situation. I would say I've had a really hard time with this. We have Icelandic friends, that's for sure. But it's not like we're invited to their social gatherings, right? Unless it's a work thing or da-da-da. But I just have felt, and not like they're putting up a wall, and not that they're rude, because they're very accepting,
Absolutely.
In the workplace, at the grocery store, they're very accepting. But I don't ever feel like I'm integrated, and I have this,
Right, and whether that's us putting up our own barrier as well, it's difficult for me sometimes when I'm out with my husband and his Icelandic friends, where I do not like to be the reason that everyone has to speak English. So then it's kind of this battle. Do I sit there and kind of nod along oh yeah, I heard the word chicken. Okay. Potato. Okay. Or do I have everybody speak English for me? So there's kind of that fine line. One-on-one, I find they are very open and willing to speak English and, very friendly. It's more kind of that group setting where it gets a little tricky.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Another thing that people are really interested in is what are the difficult parts of living here? What do you miss from home? The seasons, all the difficult stuff. And I just want to preface by saying that I actually made an entire video about this. So if you want to know my perspective on this, then I will put a card up in the corner here, so you can click on over to that and watch it. But what are you having a hard time with?
Well, thanks for asking, Jeannie. In terms of a difficult high school-y, what can be difficult? You mentioned weather. I'm a California girl through and through, so that was a really, really, really big adjustment for me. And whereas many people might say, December, January is tough with that darkness, I would dare say that actually March and April for me can be even trickier, because when the rest of the world is blooming into springtime, it doesn't happen here. We have two seasons, winter and summer, and that I miss those flowers that come, along with the warmth. Mm-hmm. However, I think it's been, I'm so amazed with the winter and the snow and the sunshine beauty that you can get on those rare days. Mm-hmm. As I look out our window, and we have sideways snow currently, but things that I miss from home. People I get this question a lot, and I often say, other than my family, yes, Mom, I miss you the most. I miss Trader Joe's. I was a big Trader Joe's fan, and not having not only just Trader Joe's, but the freshest produce here has been something that I've really had to overcome. Granted, coming from California, you know, I think something like 80% of American produce comes from Central Valley, California, and you can have anything you want any time of the year. So adjusting to that is something that has definitely been big for me. I've learned to be okay with frozen fruits and vegetables sometimes. And, you know, making a lot of smoothies and things like that. That definitely is really tricky.
Yeah. And I will say, it's so real, but it has gotten so much better since I first moved here in 2015. And it was like, how can I not get this thing here? I was like, what? You know, and it's gotten a lot better, but it still is so disappointing.
I think a big thing was when Costco came.
Yeah, that helped a lot.
Costco helped a lot.
The seasons for me, coming from Wisconsin, is
very different than Los Angeles.
But it's similar to Icelandic weather, except for I really miss when it gets warm in the summer. I can deal with a cold day, snowy, no problem, but like I really miss not having to wear pants. Like, you know, and by that I mean shorts. But yeah, I mean, come on. There are like a handful of days that you can count on one hand in a year that you can wear short sleeves. And it's sad to me.
I completely agree, and I do think that's why so many Icelanders or anyone living on this rock prioritizes getting out of the country for a portion of the year. I think you know, it's so important to go get that warmth and sunshine, and makes you appreciate it so much more. I realize as somebody growing up in Los Angeles, where it's sunny and 75, 360 days a year, I didn't appreciate it. So here, anytime it's somewhat warm or even just good weather, not too windy, you know, I grab my husband, I grab my dog, I grab my baby, and we go for that walk because you have to make the most of it.
Exactly, because tomorrow could be the opposite situation.
Could invert your car doors.
Specifically because people were really interested about the food stuff, because we talked a little bit about it, but like unexpected food stuff, cost of living, cost of food. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, cost of living and cost of food do kind of go hand in hand, you know, while certain things like groceries are significantly more expensive here.
Yeah.
That was definitely something to get used to.
Yeah.
And when a lot of the fresh ones were subpar, it really just, you know, kind of dug the knife in deeper.
Berries. Berries? Like, I feel like it's a splurge when I buy berries, you know?
I think I remember you coming over once and me having a fruit salad, and it's like, what did I do to deserve this? Berries? Yes, I agree. Absolutely. And then also, you have to eat them that day.
Yes.
You know? If you're buying strawberries,
yeah,
you have one day, if you're lucky.
And then you freeze the rest and put it in a smoothie for later.
Yeah. Plan accordingly.
Let's see, unexpected food issues. The other thing that I have a hard time with is like, if I'm looking at a recipe that I want to make, it's just like, we cannot get that here, you know, and it makes it really frustrating because
the simple things I don't always think about, like conversions, you know, between metric. I mean, it's the little things you don't think about.
Yeah.
You know,
like converting Celsius to Fahrenheit is still not just for weather, but like for cooking.
Yes, I agree.
Ugh.
Woes us.
I know. Okay, this is a fun one. How different is it to buy a house versus a car here versus the US? Now you can speak on the house, I'll speak on the car.
Okay. Well, we just bought our first home last year and in the spring, and it was really exciting and very difficult and all wrapped into one. But one thing that I found very unique was in Iceland, the real estate agent will represent both the buyer and the seller. Supposedly it's supposed to help both parties and keep things more fair. I don't know. I would need to do more research on it. I'm no expert to speak on it, but it was something that I found interesting. The housing market is pretty crazy here, as it is in the US right now as well. I also find it really surprising at how many young people own property here. It's something that's incredibly important for, I mean, you meet, 19-year-olds with their own apartment, and it's something that is really prioritized in the Icelandic culture to have. I mean, I felt like they were looking at me like I was insane, that this was my first home.
Yeah.
Because we did get you get support for your first house, extra like financial help. And they're like, so you've never owned a home in any country in the world, anywhere.
Are you sure?
No. So you're also able to use, you can have an extra pension account that you put money into, and you're able to take that out with no repercussions and put that towards your mortgage, which was incredibly helpful too, as a first-time home buyer.
Okay.
So they really look out and support that kind of young home buyer.
Yeah.
What about with the car?
That is different. With a car, okay, so this is the craziest thing when we moved here. Okay, so my husband and I are both American, so we're both foreign, and we therefore have like certain rules for getting a loan and with our bank account. So we can't get a loan to buy things. Yeah, so we're limited to renting, first of all, but with our car, we had to give them the money for our car. Like,
full amount.
It's this amount? Okay, here it is. Take it out of my bank account.
Wow.
And we have 2 cars because we can't live on 1 car. So that was bananas. That was really tough when we first moved here, right? Because we were like,
but now years down the line and not having a monthly car payment?
That is a plus, yes. We don't have a monthly car payment. That is accruing interest. So yeah, that is different.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, so someone was asking, how did you make friends? I think this is huge because living in a foreign country, you obviously need a network of people. So what are some things that you did?
Well, I think you have to be very vulnerable and understand that, it's your job to put yourself out there. So whether it's meeting coworkers and asking to go to happy hour or joining groups on Facebook, we were both a part of a group with international women on it. So finding that kind of central expat community is really crucial as well. Yep. However, the negative of that I've learned is when you are an expat, people come and go. For me, it can be difficult when you become really close with someone and then, they...
We're looking at you, Kayleen. We are.
I mean, I wasn't going to say any names. But, it's true. People come and go when in expat communities. So you have to keep that in mind and celebrate that and know that ahead of time.
Yeah, that's very true.
What did you do?
Well, yeah, the first thing was I did start going to those Girl Gone International. It's an international organization, and they have a strong
following
group here.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I did when I moved here, and the friends that I still have, I've met there. That was a really powerful thing.
Me too. I'm also lucky to have a really friendly working environment where I've met so many people, both Icelandic and expats. I'm very grateful for that community as well. I know that's not the case for everyone.
Being a new mom,
yes.
Going into like mom meetups or, in whatever ways, like play groups or gymnastics class, like things like that, swim class. Those are the...
Music class tomorrow.
Those are other ways that's, if you're a mom. But I think, like you said, the most important thing is just being vulnerable. You have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to meet people from other cultures that have different preferences and everything. It
almost can feel like dating at times, right?
Yes.
Where you have to kind of go on friend dates and learn what you do, what's important to you and what you're looking for. And yeah,
absolutely. But it is hard. It's hard.
Agreed.
Okay, this is a fun one. Someone actually asked about the appliances and electrical usage in your home, and I was like, actually, it's such a thing because when we moved, I was like, I need my Instant Pot. I need it, and they didn't actually have them here at the time. So we had to buy a step up, step down transformer that's like 25 pounds and use that to convert the voltage. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
So every time I want to use my Instant Pot or my food processor, I have to get this 25 pound and put it on and hook it up, and it's like a process. So yeah.
I can relate. However, I did not use the step-down, step-up converter, and I learned the hard way that you need one. I blew up my crock pot. My mom blew up her hairdryer visiting. Us Americans,
So funny.
And we do buy so many of our electronics in the US, dual voltage type things that can be used in both.
Yeah.
So if you look in almost any of our plugs around the house, you'll see the US adapter. So people that visit are always feel right at home.
We do that too. Computers,
Yeah.
Even things like, our speaker or...
Exactly.
Yeah, there's so many things. That's really funny. In wrapping up,
Yes.
maybe we could talk about how often people are able to come and visit and, family and friends.
COVID.
It's changed it.
It has. It definitely has. However, on the bright side, things are changing. Hopefully, we'll continue to loosen and get better and better. As all of your people planning at home know.
Yes.
They're headed this way. And I would say the one amazing thing about living in Iceland and getting people to visit is it doesn't take much convincing. Mm-hmm. Iceland is a dream destination for so many people. So when they get to combine it with, a visit to see me, it has been something that brings me so much joy to have friends and family come visit. I kind of like to think of my calendar that way too, always have something to look forward to.
Oh, it does really help. I remember pre-COVID days, we actually had someone that would come, every couple of months we would be hosting people, whether it was family or friends visiting, and I loved it because they would also bring me stuff from Amazon.
Absolutely.
But, it's just nice to have people in your home, and then we were taking road trips with them, and so,
you get to kind of be a tourist yourself and do things that you wouldn't normally do, but then there are certain things that you now have done 50 times, so you send them to go do the Golden Circle on their own, and they love it, but 50 is enough, so.
It's so true. Yeah, so we're looking forward to those restrictions being lifted, or however the world is going to go. So yeah, but that is also a little bit, that's part of living here.
Absolutely.
We either have to go visit the people that we like, or they have to come here.
Yeah.
I think that's a good stopping point. We covered a lot of questions, but we have so many more to cover. So like I said, if you guys are interested in, if you thought this was, interesting or helpful, we're going to talk in the next video about specifically raising a child in Iceland, the healthcare system, childbirth, very, very niche topics. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Of course, anytime.
It's so fun to have guests. So if you guys found this video interesting, helpful, funny, please like it, make a comment below, let us know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next video. But until then, happy planning.